Ever wonder how Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie managed to live in prime London royal palaces without being working royals? Well, recent reports from public spending watchdogs have pulled back the curtain on a quiet financial arrangement, first set up by the late Queen, that allows them to do just that. And the most interesting part? It has nothing to do with your tax money. This isn't a story about government handouts. This is a story about private wealth, ancient estates, and a family arrangement that has kept two princesses in palatial London homes for years, largely unnoticed. Until now, the details, found in financial records, paint a fascinating picture of how the modern monarchy operates behind the scenes, a world where private income and public perks get very, very blurry. So how does it all work? To get what's happening here, you first need to know the basic rulebook for royal housing. For the British royal family, your house is often tied to your job. If you're a senior working royal, like the Prince and Princess of Wales or the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, your official residence is a core part of your role. These palaces aren't just homes. They're headquarters for official duties and the whole business of monarchy. The upkeep for these occupied royal palaces is funded by the sovereign grant, the taxpayer-funded system that supports the monarchy's official work. Working royals live there essentially rent-free because the home is a job requirement, sort of like how a prime minister lives at 10 Downing Street. But here's the puzzle that sparked this whole thing. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are not working royals. They don't do hundreds of official engagements a year and aren't funded by the sovereign grant. Instead, they've built their own careers. Princess Beatrice is a vice president at a technology company, and Princess Eugenie works in the art world. Both are married with children and have their own primary family homes. Beatrice and her husband, Edoardo Mapelli-Mazzi, have a home in the Cotswolds reportedly worth around £3 million. Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, split their time between the UK and Portugal, where they have a home. Yet, despite having their own homes and careers, reports from the UK's National Audit Office, NAO, confirm they maintain impressive London bases. Beatrice has a 4-bedroom apartment at St. James's Palace, and Eugenie has Ivy Cottage, a 3-bedroom house on the grounds of Kensington Palace. These are properties in some of the most expensive real estate on the planet. So, the question is unavoidable. If they aren't working royals, who's paying for their London pads? The sovereign grant is out. Their own salaries, while surely substantial, would be dwarfed by the market rent. This is the puzzle that recent financial reports finally help solve, revealing a unique arrangement that has operated quietly for years. The answer to how Beatrice and Eugenie's London rent gets paid lies not in the public purse, but in a very private, very old, and very profitable institution, the Duchy of Lancaster. This is what critics call the royal loophole. So what is the Duchy of Lancaster? Think of it less as a place and more as a massive, centuries-old investment portfolio that belongs to the reigning monarch. Established in 1399, the duchy is a sprawling estate of land, property, and assets across England and Wales. It owns over 45,000 acres of farmland, prime commercial properties in London, and a portfolio of financial investments. This whole enterprise generates a huge amount of money. For the 2023-24 financial year, it provided a private income for King Charles of over £27 million. The profits from the duchy are called the Privy Purse and flow to the sovereign as their private income. Now, while it's considered the monarch's personal money, it's not like typical private wealth. It is tied to the crown by statute and isn't something the monarch can just sell off. Here is where the arrangement comes into focus. Reports, including from the NAO, have revealed that a setup first put in place by Queen Elizabeth II and continued by King Charles uses this private income from the Privy Purse to pay the rent for Beatrice and Eugenie. In effect, the king uses one pot of royal money to pay another, covering the housing costs of his nieces. It has been reported that this rental payment covers maintenance and operational costs, meaning no extra burden falls on the taxpayer-funded sovereign grant. But there's another layer to this. It's been reported that the royal household has a general policy of charging non-working royals rent at a discount, typically around 60% of the open market value. This is often justified because the properties are behind a major security cordon. However, the audit watchdog noted that for years, the valuations used to calculate this rent were out of date. Until this year, Eugenie's rent for Ivy Cottage was reportedly based on a 2018 valuation, and Beatrice's for her St. James's apartment on a 2020 valuation. Given London's soaring property market, critics argue that using old figures meant the rent being paid was far below even the discounted rate. This isn't a simple case of a kind uncle helping with rent. It's a systematic financial mechanism rooted in royal tradition that provides a significant benefit to the extended royal family. This situation with Beatrice and Eugenie isn't new. It's the latest chapter in a centuries-old royal tradition of grace and favor residences. This is where the monarch bestows crown-owned homes upon relatives, retired staff, or others as a gift or reward, often rent-free or for a tiny sum. Historically, palaces like Hampton Court were filled with these apartments, housing everyone from military widows to loyal courtiers. It was a system of patronage that cemented loyalty around the court. While the practice is less common now, its legacy is at the heart of the current debate. And Beatrice and Eugenie are not the first royals to be in the spotlight over it. The most famous parallel involves Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. In the early 2000s, this history is crucial. It shows that the strategy used for Beatrice and Eugenie is a well-established royal response. When public criticism arises over housing for non-working family members, the monarchy shifts the cost from public accounts to the sovereign's private ones. This reframes the debate from taxpayer money to a private family matter and shields it from the intense scrutiny applied to the sovereign grant. The arrangement for the princesses isn't a new problem, but the continuation of an old tradition trying to adapt to the modern world. The details of this royal arrangement have, unsurprisingly, kicked off a debate. The facts have been laid out in public reports, but how people interpret those facts falls along a sharp divide. On one side, you have the critics. They look at Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, two professional women in their 30s, married, with their own homes, and find the idea that they need a subsidized London palace apartment paid for by their uncle, the king, to be completely out of touch. Critics like former government minister Norman Baker have called the arrangement outrageous, accusing the royal family of taking the public for a complete ride. The argument is that even if the money comes from the king's private income, the source of that income, the Duchy of Lancaster, is a product of historical privilege tied to the public institution of the crown. For these critics, the fact that the rent was calculated on outdated valuations only adds fuel to the fire, suggesting a system that is unaccountable. On the other side, defenders argue this is fundamentally a private family affair. The king receives private income from the Duchy of Lancaster, and like any uncle, he should be free to spend that money on his family. They stress that Beatrice and Eugenie were born into a unique situation with intense security concerns. From this viewpoint, maintaining a secure London base is a reasonable provision. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson responded to the NAO report by noting a commitment to transparency and stating that arrangements for royal properties are managed to ensure they are filled appropriately. Supporters see a family looking after its own, using its own resources, within a system that has been in place for generations. This is the core of the conflict. Is it a private family matter or a matter of public interest? The answer depends entirely on where you think the line between the private lives of the royals and their public role should be drawn. So, what we have is a financial arrangement, started by a queen and continued by a king. We have two princesses, with careers and families of their own, who have London palace apartments with the rent paid from the monarch's vast, private income. And we have a system that's a holdover from a different era, now clashing with modern demands for fairness and transparency. What some call the royal loophole is, essentially, using the private Duchy of Lancaster income to provide for non-working family members, shielding the arrangement from the scrutiny that comes with taxpayer funds. But as recent reports show, even these so-called private arrangements can't escape the spotlight anymore. This leaves us with a question that isn't just about rent. It's about what it means to be a modern royal. What role should a non-working royal have today, and what level of support should they get? So what do you think? Should non-working royals be completely financially independent, responsible for all their own costs like anyone else? Or is it perfectly reasonable for the king to use his private income to support and house his immediate family? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is a complex topic with strong opinions on both sides, and we want to hear what you think. And if you enjoy these deep dives into the often hidden world of royal finance, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're always digging into the stories that show how the world's most famous family really works. Thanks for watching.